All right, welcome back to the deep dive. And, I have to be honest with you. Usually when we sit down for one of these, my desk is just uh, piled high with papers on, I don't know, semiconductor supply chains or,
Something heavy.
yeah, heavy stuff, global monetary policy. But today, the source material is, well, it's mostly illustrations.
It is remarkably colorful. I think my eyes are still adjusting to the saturation here.
Extremely colorful. We are digging into a narrative called Lulu Sprinkleton and the Spectrum of Joy.
Mm.
Specifically, a chapter called The Hiccups That Made Rainbows. And before you check your feed to make sure you didn't, accidentally download a bedtime story podcast,
Right.
we should probably explain why on earth we chose this.
Yeah, we should. Because on the surface, yes, this is absolutely a children's story. It's set in this town, sunny drizzle, where the laws of physics are treated more like friendly suggestions.
Right, they're optional.
Yeah. Really optional. But the reason we're doing this deep dive is because underneath all that whimsy, underneath the tap-dancing snowflakes and the giggling wind, this text actually offers a really tight, surprisingly sophisticated model for emotional regulation.
It's almost like a case study in cognitive behavioral therapy, just wrapped in glitter.
That's it, exactly. It touches on biology, the physics of light, and the psychology of how we handle, public embarrassment. It's a lot denser than it looks.
So, okay, let's set the scene. The town is sunny drizzle.
Yep.
And the text describes this place where the weather has a full-on personality. The rain wears hats.
The wind giggles, which, if you think about it meteorologically, is actually terrifying.
It is terrifying. So we are firmly in the realm of the surreal. But our protagonist, Lulu Sprinkleton, is a 7-year-old girl dealing with something that feels very grounded, a medical anomaly.
A sudden onset medical anomaly, yeah. She hiccups rainbows.
And we're not talking about a metaphor here. It's not like she's just radiating positivity.
No, it is literal. And it's violent. The text actually uses the word ZAP. It describes a ballistic projection of light and color.
Okay, let's talk about the catalyst. Because in any medical mystery, you're looking for patient zero, the moment of infection. For Lulu, it's breakfast.
It's always breakfast, isn't it? She's eating a pancake.
A completely innocent-looking pancake. She takes a bite, she hiccups, and ZAP. A beam of color shoots across the kitchen.
And the immediate result isn't, oh, how pretty. It's, oh no, the cat.
The family cat.
The beam hits the cat, and now the cat is wearing what the text calls a glittery color hat.
This establishes the stakes right away. These rainbows aren't just light, they seem to have mass. They can alter physical reality.
They're not just optical illusions, they are literally transforming matter.
That's a terrifying thought. You're trying to have your breakfast and you accidentally accessorize the family pet against its will.
It's incredibly disruptive. And that's where the deep dive aspect really kicks in for me. Because if you strip away the magic, what you're really looking at is a child losing control of her body in a way that directly impacts her environment. It's about a loss of agency.
And of course, she has to go to school. Because apparently 7-year-olds don't get sick days for magical ailments.
Yeah, no, she has to go to school.
No.
And this is the escalation phase. The text details 3 very specific incidents during recess that just hammer home how unmanageable this thing is.
It's total chaos.
It's a liability nightmare for the school district.
Okay, so first incident. The slide.
She hiccups near the slide, and the slide transforms into a giant banana.
Which structurally seems unsafe. Is it peeled banana? Is it slippery? So many questions.
The text implies it keeps the shape of the slide, but takes on the consistency of the fruit. So yes, highly unsafe.
Then there's the principal.
The poor principal.
Yeah.
Just out there doing his job.
He's just trying to monitor recess and zap.
His pants turn pink with polka dots. This feels like a direct attack on our authority figure.
And then the grand finale, the sneeze-hiccup combo.
Oh, a dangerous mixture. We all know how painful a sneeze hiccup is on its own, but here it turns the entire sandbox into a fountain of sprinkles.
So we've got property damage, public humiliation, disruption of public order. Lulu is, of course, horrified.
She yells, "I can't go to school like this," which is completely understandable.
But I want to look at the response from the adults here, because this is where the story shifts from just being silly to being almost sociological.
The institutional response.
Exactly. The mayor gets involved.
And the mayor declares a color code emergency.
A color code emergency. It sounds so official.
It's a classic bureaucratic overreaction. They're faced with something they don't understand, and the immediate move is containment. Don't try to understand the rainbows, just hide them.
The difference is seen as a threat to the town's order.
And the solution they offer her is just, it's pitiful.
It's so low-tech.
It's suppression. They give her a giant paper bag and a scarf, basically saying, "You are different. You are disrupting the norm. Please cover yourself up."
It's the hide the anomaly strategy, which historically is a terrible way to treat any medical or psychological condition. It just breeds shame.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It reinforces the idea that what is happening to her is wrong. But thankfully, the story doesn't stay there. It sets the stage for an intervention. We meet the expert,
Dr. Pitterpaw.
the town's wackiest weather scientist.
And I love that his diagnostic tool is a chart shaped like a popsicle.
Right. It suggests a very specific kind of peer-reviewed methodology is at play here.
It fits the world.
Yeah.
But despite the props, Dr. Pitterpop actually delivers what passes for hard science in Sunny Drizzle. He diagnoses her with Giglitis rainbowis.
Giglitis, say that again?
Giglitis
It
rainbows.
sounds like a spell from Harry Potter.
It really does. But he explains the mechanism, and this is where we get that intersection of biology and emotion we mentioned at the top.
Okay.
He says the condition is a mixture of laughter and hiccups. Right.
And specifically, that this mixture releases pent-up joy in the form of color energy.
Pent-up joy. I want to pause on that phrase, because the text actually breaks away here for this little sidebar called science fun.
Yes.
And it tries to ground this whole fantasy in actual human physiology, because this isn't just magic, it's rooted in the body.
It is. It breaks down what a hiccup actually is. So for anyone who hasn't thought about their diaphragm since high school biology, what is actually happening?
So in our world, a hiccup is an involuntary spasm of the diaphragm. It's the big muscle sheet right under your lungs. When it spasms, you suck air in really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, your vocal cords, the glottis, they snap shut. That snap is the hic sound.
So it's basically a glitch in the respiratory system.
It's a neuromuscular glitch, exactly. Now, the story takes that mechanical glitch and pairs it with the chemistry of laughter.
Which means endorphins. Endorphins. The text describes them as a real kind of color inside us, which is a really lovely metaphor. Biologically, they're neurotransmitters that act as natural painkillers and mood elevators.
So Dr. Pitterpop's theory is that you've got this mechanical spasm of the diaphragm colliding with a chemical flood of endorphins.
And in Lulu's very specific physiology, that collision generates a high-energy physical output, a rainbow.
It's fascinating because it implies that an emotion, joy, in this case, it has mass. It has substance. It's not just a feeling, it's a force that has to go somewhere.
That's the key. The phrase pent up. If you cap a geyser, the pressure builds. The hiccup is just the release valve.
So Lulu asks the million-dollar question, can you fix it? She wants a cure.
And Dr. Pitterpop gives the answer that no patient ever wants to hear. He just says, nope.
Very blunt.
Brutally honest. But then he offers a pivot. He says, you can't fix it, but you can learn to control it.
And this brings us to the training montage.
Everybody loves a good training montage.
But it's not exactly Rocky punching meat in a freezer. This is rainbow training. What does that regimen look like?
It's a 3-step process. And what's so cool is that the first 2 steps are actually based on real-world hiccup remedies. Step 1 is breathing slowly, like a sleepy sloth.
Which is just calm, diaphragmatic breathing. That's standard advice for calming the vagus nerve, right?
Exactly. It's about regulating your autonomic nervous system. Then step 2, drink water upside down.
I've definitely tried this. It usually just results in me choking, which I guess technically stops the hiccups because I'm too busy coughing to death.
It's a distraction technique. It forces your body to focus on a complex swallowing action, which can reset the diaphragm. So the story is giving us legitimate medical advice here.
But then we get to step 3.
Step 3 is where the psychological training comes in. She has to practice a serious face in the mirror.
Ah, the suppression technique.
Yes. And the text notes, very importantly, that she fails at this. She just keeps giggling.
Well, of course she does. Trying not to laugh when you're literally exploding with rainbows is objectively funny. It's the sheer absurdity of the situation.
It is. But that failure is the real turning point of the whole story. Because she realizes that stopping the joy isn't an option. The serious face is just another version of the mayor's paper bag.
It's an attempt to deny the reality of who she is.
Right. So if she can't stop it, and she can't hide it, what's left?
But she learns to aim.
To aim. That is such a specific and powerful verb choice.
It really is.
She moves from suppression to redirection. She starts hiccuping into jars. She starts controlling the trajectory of the output. She accepts that the output is happening, but she takes charge of where it goes.
This feels like a major shift. We're moving from the biology of the hiccup to the actual physics of the rainbow.
Exactly. And the source material spends a little time here explaining what a rainbow actually is, in our world.
Refraction.
Refraction. The bending of light as it passes through a medium, like water droplets. The whole prism effect. You take white light, you bend it, and it splits into the spectrum.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
ROYGBV.
So the story is setting up this amazing parallel. In physics, a prism takes invisible light and makes its colors visible. In this story, Lulu is the prism. She takes an invisible, internal feeling joy and makes it visible in the world.
That is the core metaphor. She is refracting her emotions into the world. And once she learns to aim, to control that refraction, she has a choice. She can keep hiding in her paper bag, or she can do something useful with all that light.
Which brings us to the entrepreneurship phase of the story, which I have to say I love. Lulu stops crying about school and opens for business.
The rainbow booth?
It's a service model. Can you walk me through the transaction here?
It's actually brilliant. She sets up a booth for any student who is feeling sad or nervous or just bored. The customer comes up to her and tells her a joke. The joke makes Lulu laugh. The laughter triggers the endorphins. The endorphins trigger the hiccup, ZAP, and she produces a rainbow for them.
She's crowdsourcing the fuel for her own condition.
It's totally symbiotic. The sad kid has to engage in humor, which is already a mood lifter in itself, to generate the product. She's forcing her customers to participate in their own cheering up.
And she's not just blasting them with light anymore, she's manufacturing products.
She's making actual goods. The text lists specific items. She makes rainbow bookmarks.
Useful.
She makes rainbow shoelaces.
Stylish.
And my personal favorite, a rainbow mustache.
For the grumpy librarian.
That is a power move. To walk up to the grumpiest person in school, the person who represents silence and order, and say, "Here, put this glowing rainbow on your upper lip."
It's big diplomacy. You disarm the critic with sheer absurdity, but look at that character arc. She went from being a color code emergency, a public nuisance,
To a walking, talking, rainbow hiccuping hero.
and the condition itself didn't change at all. She still has giglitis rainbowist.
The symptoms are exactly the same.
The only thing that changed was the context. She reframed the anomaly from a defect into a feature.
The old, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Literally. And the text spells this out as the life lesson. It says, quote, "Something that feels weird or embarrassing about you might just be your superpower."
Now, that's a phrase we hear a lot in kids' media. You're special. You're a superhero. But I feel like Lulu's story adds a layer of practicality to that idea that we often miss.
I completely agree. Usually the message is just accept yourself, which is fine. But Lulu goes a step further. It isn't just I accept my rainbows. It's how can I use these rainbows to solve a problem for someone else?
Right. She turned her quirk into a utility.
That's the deep dive takeaway for me. Acceptance is passive, application is active.
It also goes back to that idea of pent-up joy we talked about. By sharing the rainbows, she's physically releasing that pressure. If she'd kept it all in the paper bag, she'd probably, I don't know, explode.
Or at the very least, she'd be miserable. There's a real psychological concept here about the toxicity of suppressing positive emotion.
Yeah, they call it dampening versus savoring. If you dampen your positive emotions, if you hide your joy because you're afraid of looking weird, you actually lower your own psychological well-being.
We talk a lot about not suppressing anger or sadness, but what about suppressing your enthusiasm because it doesn't fit the color code of your workplace or your school? That's exhausting.
It's that serious face in the mirror. It takes so much energy to maintain that mask.
And Lulu proves that the serious face is a failed strategy.
Mm.
The better strategy is to find a jar, aim the rainbow, and make a bookmark out of it.
It's a compelling argument for authenticity. Not just be yourself, but be yourself on purpose.
Precisely, be yourself strategically.
So to recap the journey we've been on, we started with a pancake and a ZAP.
We traumatized a cat who, let's be honest, probably looked great in that glittery hat.
A very fashion-forward cat.
We turned a slide into a banana.
Yeah.
We learned about diaphragm spasms and the glottis snap. We learned about light refraction and the spectrum. And we ended up with a small business empire built on joy.
It's a surprisingly comprehensive curriculum for a story about a girl named Sprinkleton.
It really makes you look at hiccups differently. I mean, usually they're just an annoyance. You hold your breath, drink some water, and wait for them to go away.
But the idea that they could be a release valve, next time you get them, just check. Maybe you just need to laugh a little more. Maybe your diaphragm is trying to tell you something about your endorphin levels.
No, maybe I'm just not refracting enough light.
You might just be a prism waiting to happen.
I like that. But I am definitely staying away from sandboxes, just in case.
A smart move. The sprinkle cleanup alone would be a nightmare. You'd be finding nonpareils in your shoes for weeks.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. We've analyzed Lulu's pent-up joy and how it physically manifested as light, ROYGBV. But for those of us listening who aren't currently glowing or turning furniture into fruit, there's still a question here.
The question is about your own ZAP. If your own pent-up energy or your weirdest personal quirk had a physical form, if it just popped out of you every time you hiccuped, what would it look like?
Would it be sound? Would it be tiny bubbles? Would it be, I don't know, perfectly formed origami cranes?
And more importantly, instead of putting a paper bag over it, how could you capture that, package it up, and put it to use for the people around you?
How do you turn the disruption into the service?
That is the question from Sunny Drizzle.
Thanks for taking the plunge with us today.
Stay curious.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.